Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nola Hennessy. It's the 29th of February 2024 and I'm sitting in my home. I'm relaxing this evening and I wanted to share something important with you. In my last Peace Bite, one of the things that I quoted out of my first book, No Boxing Allowed, is personal power is only of benefit to you and the human race if you use it willingly, wisely, and with good intent. Now, over the last couple of weeks, I've been observing a number of people at a client site, and unfortunately, the culture of that particular part of the client site, whether that's the whole organisation or not, I'm unsure, but the culture of that part of the organisation was very much founded on narcissism, all forms of bullying, and certainly a lack of understanding of personal power, because the people who had positions of power, whether acting in those positions of power or substantively in those positions of power, weren't using their positional authority in the right constructive way. In No Boxing Allowed, in part 2, I talk a lot about personal power and positional power and the positive aspects of personal power. In fact, I list a whole range of ways in which you can exhibit positive personal power and negative personal power as well. There's a double the list for negative personal power. But you know, even the first aspect of being negative in your personal power is displaying disrespect, aloofness, or rudeness. Second point, playing mind games and deliberately giving mixed messages. One of the things that I heard before I left the client site was that the expectation applied to all staff in the area was that they needed to be able to manage a constant state of ambiguity. Now, we all know that ambiguity is a form of mind game playing. And we know that ambiguity is not healthy. It doesn't allow people to perform at their best, and it keeps people in a state of uncertainty, and for a lot of people, it keeps them in a state of fear. And that is a controlling, manipulative behaviour. Very common with narcissists, certainly with bullies, and I would strongly recommend that if you're in an organisation, in a workplace that practices those things on a routine basis, that you get yourself out at the first opportunity. Because if the area is run by a narcissist, they're not going to know that anything's wrong because that's their modus operandi. In part 2, in chapter 2, I talk about the virtues of great leadership, and that's what makes this book different. There are a bunch of books that talk about leadership, but great leadership is beyond normal standards of leadership and expectations of leadership. And there's literally a page and a half of the attributes of great leadership in this book. And as we know, back in 2011, No Boxing Allowed won, when it was first launched, it won the most inspirational book in the USA in 2011. I haven't pursued other awards. I haven't entered my book in other competitions since its first round of awards, and I don't feel the need to do that. I know how powerful the messages are. I know the level of plagiarism that people have applied to my writings, and the strategies that I utilise and share with people in this book have been used by people to great success in a range of contexts without paying due to the book itself and who wrote it. So that, you know, that alone is one of the things that I'm most keen on making sure that as a humanity we move away from. We need to be full of integrity, honest, ethical, and Emotionally connected to people. We're all emotive beings. If we didn't have emotion, we would be robots. And we know that robotic behaviour doesn't allow us to make the best decisions. Our whole system makeup, our system of systems that make up the human body rely on emotional responses to things. That triggers chemical responses, things in the brain that happen that wouldn't happen unless there was an emotion that triggered that particular chemical release. We've got to allow our emotions to be seen as an important part of who we are, and not discredit people, not, belittle people because they have an emotion-based response to something. It's normal. So what are the characteristics of great leaders? I'm going to just pick some here, and certainly you're welcome to purchase No Boxing Allowed and read the full list. But as Major General Ian Gordon, a friend of mine who was Deputy Chief of Army, he talks about this being, one of the best checklists he's ever seen. So, with all of his training in the military, he saw value in this, and this goes way beyond what the military would even think of educating their people about. A lot of this comes from life experience. Great leaders empower others with relevant information, are not intimidated by anyone or anything, walk the talk consistently, never just promise, they act, never abuse their position of power or authority. Narcissists will always abuse their position. Great leaders build and nurture relationships, not erode or destroy them with innuendo, gossip and lies. They demonstrate care for people's health, safety and well-being. When leading organisations, and we're talking about very senior leaders in organisations here, they have people policies in place that reflect and ensure that an honest, communicative, safe, caring and just culture is the solid foundation for the organisation. They actively listen all the time, not just some of the time. They're transparent and honest in all their dealings, are consistently courteous, gracious, responsive and humble. They never hold grudges. They provide clear direction. That's the point about ambiguity. Great leaders would not tolerate ambiguity. I don't. Any other great leader would not. Ambiguity seeds distrust, it seeds fear, and it seeds a very high stress level in your people. So if you've got an ambiguous work situation, you can't possibly be thinking about the health, safety and well-being of your people. Great leaders can visualise an outcome. They empower others to have a say, to stand up for any perceived injustice. They reward and honour others in suitable ways, both privately and publicly. They welcome others back if they decide that leaving wasn't such a good idea. They always acknowledge and thank the whole team when a team outcome is achieved. They never seek an outcome for themselves alone. They don't have an "it's all about me" attitude or push a purely personal agenda. They never ridicule, bully, harass or admonish another. They never lie. They rarely swear, if at all. They don't allow strategies and decision making to be founded on or driven by personalities. And they don't hide behind irony, talk and sarcasm. They're just a few of the things that great leaders are all about. Now, I know myself at times when I get annoyed with people, particularly people who practice road rage, I might say a few choice words in my car while I'm driving behind them or they're behind me. But generally speaking, I live and breathe what I write in this book. It's so important that you have a target for betterment if you're going to nurture your soul throughout your physical life. On the flip side of that, if you choose not to nurture your soul and not to better yourself and not to improve through applying lessons learned, that's okay too, but know full well that your soul will need to apply and have more lessons in the next lifetime, in the next personality that your soul inhabits, the next human that your soul inhabits. So I focus very much on spiritual maturity, allowing people to understand themselves well enough to say, well, this is what I don't like about me, I'm going to make myself better. There are a million songs out there that talk about we have to start within in order to make the world a better place. But I challenge you, read this book, understand yourself, and make yourself a better person, and the knock-on effect to everybody else will be exponential. I hope you have a wonderful month of March. I'll be back with you towards the end of the month, and I wish you well in all that you do. Bye for now, folks.